With everything going on in Tibet right now, I thought it'd be a perfect time to talk about some of the failed policies of the Chinese government. Actually, I should refer to it as atrocities of the Chinese government acted upon its people. It started in 1958 with Mao's wonderful idea called the Great Leap Forward. Now, the goal of the Great Leap Forward was to get China on par with the Western world, technologically speaking, in a 15-year span. Now the results, get ready for this. The results was not advancement in technology, medicine, industry, what have you. The result of this was the death of 30 million people through starvation, famine, pestilence. Now let's move on to 1966. If we didn't have enough death from the Great Leap Forward, Mao Zedong thought it'd be a great idea to kill another 1.5 million people. Now the Cultural Revolution was aimed at the scholarly class of China and at China's culture, its traditions. Well, let's say if I were in China in 1966 and one of these Red Guards who happened to be a middle school student saw me with these glasses on, he could have done one of three things. He could have forced me out of my house, forced me into labor camp, or killed me just because I had glasses. Because the glasses say that I am educated, and being educated, I have no right to live in the new China. So let's move on to Tiananmen Square, 1989. Now, contrary to popular belief, Tiananmen Square was not a demonstration for democracy. It was a rally by students mainly it was started by students from Beijing University, the most prestigious university within China. And what they were voicing concern for was the rampant corruption within China. They weren't asking for freedom. They weren't asking for democracy. They weren't asking for America to save them or film them and show the rest of the world what evil really is. Luckily, CNN was there. So, what did the Chinese government do? How did they answer this call to end corruption by students of their most prestigious university? They sent in tanks. They shot at them. They killed many people. Chinese government says, 20 people were killed, mostly by rioters. It's a straight up lie. Thousands of people were killed. Thousands. So let's move on to Tibet today. Now, Tibet's not a part of China. It's never been a part of China. The people of Tibet, ethno-linguistically speaking, they're not Chinese at all. Culturally speaking, they're not Chinese at all. They have never been part of the central Chinese government, whether through it was the dynastic system or after the Communist Party took over. They never agreed to rule by the Chinese. A lot of Chinese today argue that, Tibet became part of China when the Yuan dynasty was ruling China. The Yuan dynasty is the Mongol dynasty. Well, can I remind you that the Mongols were not Han Chinese themselves. The Mongols didn't consider themselves Chinese. The Mongols were an outside force. They were actually barbarians. The Chinese consider them barbarians. The Mongol Empire was not Chinese, and therefore, even though Tibet was controlled by the Mongol Empire, it was controlled by the Mongols, not Chinese. And now today, the Dalai Lama is being accused of inciting all this violence, all this hate. He has nothing to do with this. What is causing all this violence and what is causing all this hate is a forced subjugation and cultural genocide that is being enacted on the Tibetans and has been ever since the communists rolled in and took power and forced the exile of thousands upon thousands of Tibetans. The Dalai Lama has stated over and over again that he doesn't even want independence, he just wants autonomy. Well, it may seem like the time for that is too late, because he has been following the peaceful road, but there are a lot of people a lot of students, a lot of young who are tired of it. They're tired of the subjugation that they've been forced into. And when people are punched enough in the face, what do you think they're going to do? Eventually they're going to hit back. And a lot of you are arguing right now, well, the Tibetans, they say they're peaceful, so they shouldn't be rioting like this. But let me ask you a question. If you punch a pacifist in the face, what will you do? Nothing, right? So punch him again, he'll do nothing. Punch him again, he'll do nothing. Punch him again, he'll do nothing. How long do you think it'll take? Well, for the Tibetans, it's been over 50 years. Perhaps they have a right to riot. Perhaps they have the right to stand up for their own culture. Perhaps they have a right to insist that all these Han Chinese that have been forced into the area insist that they go back to the Central Plains of China. Tibet is not China's land. And Tibet, they're during the Olympics. China will do that itself. It's starting already. The world is watching. Now you might ask me, well, where did I get all these facts and figures from? From Western textbooks, maybe? Western history books? Well, in fact, I studied in China. And I got this from a history class in China, from my own observations in China. These are hard facts that were given to me in China at a university within China. So no, these aren't skewed opinions. These aren't skewed numbers. These are actual numbers from Chinese sources. So, the Olympics is coming up. I'm not saying we should boycott it. I think it should occur. I think the Olympics will force China to answer for all the things it has done and continues to do against human rights, against the Tibetans, and against its own people and environment.我认为中国的政策就是非常落后，他们没有计划，所以我请你们中国人，你应该起床，你